This is Sanakori, the Cyber Behike. I'm going to give some people some time to get on if you're available. I did something wrong before. I don't know if anybody saw it, but I was streaming before. That's why I'm late. So I'm not sure. That's why I don't like doing live streams. Always very confusing what's going on. But if anybody can hear me, please say hello or write hello. I did something wrong. I don't know what I did before. I gotta really start doing more of these screenings. These not screenings. These live streams. All right, I see one like. All right, looks like you guys can hear me. Awesome. Just want to do some review work today. Want to share with you what's going on at the Taino Fun House. Even though I live in the cyber world here in YouTube, but the Taino Fun House is actually a real house. It has contains a lot of fun and a lot of Taino people and a lot of non-Taino as well. So far we got members from different parts of the island, like Iskaya, we got Borinquen, we got Jamaica. Hoping we get some other folks from different islands to come in. This Sunday at Inwood Hill Park, we're gonna have a cool Earth Mother Day. We're gonna have some ceremonies for Atave. We're gonna have some food. We're gonna have a lot of great stuff. Hey, what's up, April? April, man, you didn't. I gave you my email. I didn't hear from you. Taino Fun House at proton .me. You can email me your information there, okay? Taino Fun House at proton.me. Um, I don't know if anyone knows, but proton.me company is encrypted. It's hard to hack into that system, and I believe they do agree. I think they're woke. You know, in other words, they're like people of color. They're for DEI. I only got the proton part. Okay, Taino Fun House. Taino Fun House at proton dot or the period me. Proton at sorry. Taino Fun House at proton dot me. Dot me. Anyone, please hit me up if you're in the neighborhood, New York City. I'll bring you to the Taino Fun House. We'll have some fun. All right, I'm gonna look out for your message, April. All right, Lakota Power all the way. We gotta set up a show soon. For anyone who's interested, I want to do some circles, some learning circles, not just for Taino but all indigenous, and it's centered about the sacred tree. Every culture in the world, every indigenous culture has this whole concept of the sacred tree, and for the Taino, very rooted. We have so many powerful trees in Guanica. The We have tremendous trees that even in the heat they continue to grow close to 1,000 years. Um, the Guatucan tree, I believe there's one in Guanica that's like 900 years old. Then we have the Ceiba tree. Um, Wait, hold on a second. Hold on, I forgot. Give me a second. I have to get a special guest star that's coming tonight. He's gonna represent the Ceiba people. CEIBA, one of the strongest and most powerful trees in the Caribbean. I think second to the Guatucan tree. Here he is right there. It's Groot. 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 That's the Saba. Marvel Comics. This is the Saba tree right here. All right, Groot. Good job, man. That's right. He's a new member of the Taino Fun House right here. He's the man. Say hello. Hello, everybody. Yo soy el Borinquen. Say ya. All right, good job, man. All right. So, I know April. You know about this. I wish you can share. But back in 1984, 1995, way before the internet, there was a book that came out. It was created by the Four Worlds Development Project, straight out of First Nations Canada. The Sacred Tree, amazing book. If you can get it, it's still in print, and it talks about, originally it started talking about the social issues related to indigenous peoples regarding substance abuse, and it became a global phenomenon, this book, because all the indigenous people, not just in North America but all throughout the world, came together to share their medicine centered on the sacred tree and the medicine wheel. And I've taught this before, but I want to really reiterate this, how important it is now more than ever in 2026. I already did, Sanakori. I'm here. That's right. Am I Mohawk? No, I'm not Mohawk. I'm Taino or Arawakan, or what they say, Caribbean indigenous. But I know a lot of Mohawks. They're good people. Um, so the symbol of the sacred tree for all indigenous people, the roots represent. It reaches deep into the Mother Earth, the roots, and represents our foundations, our history, and the physical world. Very, very important. That's what the roots. In Cuba, they have a saying: all the trees in the forest look different, but the roots all look the same. And that's us. All indigenous peoples, all peoples in general look different, but our roots are the same. They all look the same. Also, we have the trunk of the tree. The outside the tree, there's bark. Those are your warrior society representatives, because it protects the tree from harm. It represents strength and stability, and this is required for a balanced lifestyle. Strength and stability. Said, hey, what's up? How you doing? Let me look at some names here. Nasen Worlds. Nassim Worlds. Hi, how you doing? All right. And all smiles. Hey, you guys are number three. Number one comments is April. Awesome. Whoa, hold on a second. Kind of messed up here. Hold on a second. Whoa. My computer here is messing up. I gotta look at my notes. I just don't want to ramble. And then in the tree, we have the branches. And these branches, they reach up high to the sun. We call the farther sky, symbolizes our spiritual aspirations. We're always trying our best to do our best. And what is that called? It's called growth. If you're a human being, if you're alive, if you're kicking, use that strength, use your stability. Why? Because you're going to grow, just like the beautiful tree that grows. And guess what? The tree also has fruits. And this represents the gifts from the Creator. For the Taino, the Creator has two forces, two life forces. One is masculine and one is feminine. And the feminine is the mother, and the masculine is the son. So we have Atabe and Yokahu. Put it together, and you have a beautiful mix, beautiful life force. So the tree reminds us, the fruits of the tree reminds us of our gifts. What is the gifts? Does anyone know? Write in the comments before I say it, okay? See if you can write it in the comments. There's three main gifts. Actually, there's four written in this book that all indigenous people in that conference they agreed upon. And see if you can guys can write in the comments section. Those are fruits. I don't know what kind of fruits you like. Guayaba, mango, sour sap, or guanabana, orange, whatever fruits you have, it's very sweet. It's very beautiful, man. Peaches. I'm allergic to peaches and pears, but I love them. So these are gifts from the Creator. That's right. So every gift that you possess, like April, who's a rapper, every gift or a mom, that's fruit. Now we mentioned before about this book on this channel. We mentioned about the four um, the four aspects of what makes up a human being, and in this book they call it the medicine wheel, and 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 it's the understanding of the four worlds. Again, that sacred four. In the Taino, we have Deminon and his three brothers. So we talk about the physical, which is the body, and our health. We got to take care of this body. A lot of religions talk about that. Namely, what's that called? Um, the temple. For many religions, they call it. Well, for us, this is nature, our body. Also, mental. It's related to our intellect and reason capacity. This is why we are the stewards of the earth. This is why we're the earth keepers to all living creatures, from the stone people to the tree people to the animal people. Because we have intellect, we have reasoning, and unfortunately, we're not using it for everyone. We're using it for our own greed, and and part of that greed is rooted in the next world, which is the emotional world, feelings and relationships. A lot of people that have a lot of power when it comes to money, their feeling of that gratification of having more money leads to a lot of greed. I was reading the other day that a millionaire and a billionaire, um, one of their requirements to become so wealthy is greed and corruption and so on. I don't know how true that is, but they've been doing these studies. Also, the fourth world is spiritual. That there is a connection somehow to something greater than ourselves, than the physical realm, and it gives us purpose. And for many of us, if we're lucky, we not just ponder the meaning of life, but we actually live the meaning. There's a purpose in life. Now, for many native people that I know of here in North America, they talk about walking the red road. Right, April? The red road. This is the path that we take. Now, in this book, it talks about that indigenous spirituality and community healing is rooted in returning right now in 2000, well, back in 1980s up to 2026 now, we have to return back to our traditional values. And this is what um, the elders call the old ways. Okay? A lot of the young people now say the old fashioned ways. I like to call it the old school way. And why is that important? Because the old ways, or the traditional way, those traditional values, we had clean rivers, the sky was clean. Hey, I just read a statistic today. Anyone that lives in New York City, the children are exposed to the 10 worst of all the cities in the United States. The number 10 is New York City. That children are exposed to pollutants and so on. First one is LA, but it's horrible that our children have to live in this horrible air pollution. So back in the old ways, we didn't have this pollution. Our rivers were beautiful. So check this out. The authors of this book, The Sacred Tree, they argue about that people are moving away from the shadow of the tree. I want you guys to think about that. The shadow of the tree. See, because the shadow, when it's especially when it's like 100-degree weather, you want to look for that shade. You want to go under a tree and get that nice shade so you don't dehydrate or you don't get a heat stroke. So that shadow of the tree represents spiritual and cultural roots. Okay, and this is what makes us comfortable. This is what makes us happy. Okay, so when you lose your way, when you lose the old ways, you're losing your spiritual and cultural roots. And this path leads to suffering of the heart. This is the sickness of the heart that that we're not rooted, like the tree is not rooted, and eventually that tree will die. In society right now, people who are not rooted in their traditions or not rooted in any values, what happened? They become despair. They experience despair, and when you experience despair, unfortunately, many people, the only thing they can control is how they kill themselves, and this is so sad. We have to help one another. So, in this book, The Sacred Tree, just like the tree, development is crucial from the seed to this baby tree to finally when it grows to adulthood and it keeps growing and growing for hundreds of years. So, it's a lifelong journey. Just like the tree, it's a lifelong journey. So, what makes us a whole person? What contributes to us being super duper healthy? Just like a super savai tree, like root. First one, if you guys are taking notes, first one, wholeness. This is the principles that's highlighted in the book. Wholeness. Everything on earth is interrelated. The trees gives us oxygen. Our carbon dioxide gives them life. So it's a dance of life between the tree and us, and also all the organisms in the sea. So everything is interrelated. Another principle, change. All things are constantly in a state of flux. Can't change that reality. We cannot change wholeness. We can't change. It's a principle of life. Also, another principle is process. Healing takes time and it occurs in cycles. Remember the sacred circle? It happens in cycles. So, process, it doesn't happen overnight. This is why it's so important for people who are in substance abuse. In the indigenous way of healing, it's a circle. So, it's very, very important to understand that it's not a quick fix, it's a process. Healing takes time. And also, volition, what we call the will. It's the power to choose and to take action. And that's what's central in human dignity is that we have a choice. No one can force you to be a, a whole person. No one could tell you you have to wake up in the morning and you have to, bathe and work and help your fellow brother and sister in society. No one forces you to do that. It's a choice that you make. And I know there's many people who are not well physically, mentally, spiritually, and they can't get up in the morning or they can't function well in this society. Maybe they also feel lost. Some people we consider being a member of society like capitalism as being a slave to the system. There's a lot of stuff going on. This is why we're communal. Wholeness, we're interrelated. We cannot abandon our relatives. So, the bottom line in this book, The Sacred Tree, that the communities, all world communities, wherever you're from, we must overcome a long sleep, and especially indigenous people. For us, it seems like we're always in this deep sleep. Why? Because, we were the first ones to experience social devastation. They call it post traumatic stress disorder when it comes to what happened during the Industrial Revolution here in America, after the Revolutionary War, and so on. This is when our rivers were polluted, our air was polluted, our indigenous peoples, our relatives were forced. Either they were killed or forced to leave the land. As Taino, we experienced Columbus firsthand, and we're still experiencing that spirit of poison from Columbus, who sold his soul for an ounce of gold. and people are still selling their souls. So, what's the message? What's the universal message? What does the sacred tree teach us? It teaches us that culture is the mother of vision. Culture. So I don't know where you are in your life, but it's so important to be connected to your culture. And maybe your culture right now is a little screwed up. Maybe you live in a capitalistic society, and this capitalistic society is forcing you to be like a robot, right? I was, or maybe you live in a capitalistic society where you're making a lot of money, but the money you're making, it might screw other people, especially stocks and bonds. When you put a lot of money on petroleum, all that money you're putting in petroleum, right? You're screwing up the environment, but your bank account is sweet. You see? So it's very important, if you don't have a culture that's rooted in these values of the sacred tree, it's very important that you connect to cultures who are living, who are walking the talk. It's very, very important. I don't know if you have any comments on that, you want to share, but let me go back to what I was saying. No one wrote about the fruits, the gifts of the Creator. One gift that was, I'm trying to look. One gift that was shared in this conference back in 1984 was love. One of the fruits that's sweeter than all sweet fruits is love. And I don't know about you, man, but as a teenager, our first experience of love is our parents, and sometimes our parents may not be the best role models when it comes to love. So sometimes we experience love from them. Also, we could experience all different kind of emotions or realities, especially if you were abused by your parents or so on. So that's a whole different realm. But definitely love. Ideally, we experience it from our mother, our father, um, or if you weren't raised with your parents, then there must have been someone in your life that taught you for the first time, that whole concept of love, and then eventually you grow as an adult, and maybe you enter a relationship, and a relationship is both, emotional, spiritual, physical, and mental. The four realms, the four worlds. Love, also compassion. It's not always about me. There's going to become a part in your life that you're going to realize is not all about me. It's about helping other people. And hopefully you experience that whole sense of being compassionate to other people, or maybe someone was compassionate to you. Also, it mentions another fruit, generosity. To be generous with your time, being generous with your knowledge, and so on. And also, another love that's mentioned, wisdom. And when you look at the tree, the leaves, when they dry off, when they dry and they come off the tree, they go back to the earth, and they become food. They become food for the tree. So that's that wisdom. I remember not too long ago I did a video, and I had a what do you call those, wheelbarrows full of old leaves that we were moving to another section of the park so we can use it as future compost or future soil. And you know those those leaves is an old generation. And now when you see the trees now, the green leaves, eventually that's the new generation now, and eventually they will become the old generation. And that's wisdom right there. So hey, I just want to give you a heads up. New York City, April 26th, we're gonna celebrate the Shirakapak Earth Keepers, a program of Taino Fun House. We're gonna celebrate Earth Mother Day on Sunday. Rain or shine, we're gonna get some tarps so we can cover ourselves if it rains. And forecast is 80% rain, But hey, rain is powerful. Rain is good. And it might be a little chilly, so wear something warm. Be comfortable. We're gonna have some food. We're gonna have some games, some indigenous games we'll be playing. We're gonna have the drum. We're gonna have rattles. We're gonna have fun for the Mother Earth because we are the fruits to one another. Also, I just want to mention something too. On May 7th, 8th, and 9th, it's going to be a supersonic, powerful weekend for the Taino Fun House because Inway Hill Park, aka Shirakapak Reserve, Shirakapak, the land on the edge of the water, once a long time ago, back in the 1600s here in Upper Manhattan, up into the 1700s, with Squaxgeek people, a band of the Lenape, were the caregivers of this land. So guess what? Back in 1926, an indigenous woman was hired by Parks, New York City, to bring back those old stories, those old indigenous traditions. Her name was Naomi Campbell. She came from Louisiana, and for a good 10 years she lived right in the park, and she did something amazing. She unified over 600 Native Americans from the five boroughs in New York, and many of them moved in with her, and they started camping out. Um, the parks called it Indian Life Reservation. They kind of wanted to do a reenactment of indigenous history, indigenous culture, and so on. So she would wear her buckskin regalia, outfit, which really, in her writing, she mentioned that, um, she tried to be as authentic as possible. Um, from Monday to Saturday, and on Sunday she'll put her dress, her high heels, and she'll go to the local town, which was Broadway, and just hang out with the people and have fun. That was Naomi from Louisiana, Cherokee. Uh, and that was in 1926. So what happened was, in 2026, we're bringing that back because in 1937, she was evicted from the land. She was fired, and not only was she fired, she was evicted. And all those Native Americans that came that were supporting her, they were also evicted. And they modernized the park, and they took away the Native representation in history. But the Shirakapak Earth Keepers, Taino Fun House, and all my friends out there and relatives, please come on out. We're calling it the Indigenous Life Reservation, and it's not a federally recognized reservation, but we're calling it that because we're bringing it. We're not reenactment. We're actually doing the work as if we were living there. Oh man, it's a lot. There's a lot of stuff. We just brought back the spring. There's a lot of work to be done. It was a spring that was there for 15,000 years, giving water, fresh water to the people. Now, unfortunately, it's polluted water, but doesn't kill the birds. The birds are coming out. Check out the videos here at Taino Fun House. I'll be downloading every week our progress. But we found one drain that was buried under a lot of earth. And the reason why we want to unearth that drain was because when the rains come and the spring starts opening, there's three springs, and there's a fourth one all the way up in the caves. Anyone who's been in Inwood, it's called the Blue Trail. So once the rain comes down, we're gonna connect the spring from the above the caves to the three springs in the ground closer. And with that drain open, we could prevent flooding. And guess what? The birds will come back, and the people love it. So where for us as indigenous, the trees are all around us, the sacred trees. So guess what, we're back. 100 years later, the indigenous people are back, and it's just not indigenous, there's also other people from the local area who are Irish American, German American, mixed, you name it. They're also helping out. So this Sunday, come on out. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna give a manicure and pedicure to our mother, the Earth Mother. Taino, we call her Atave. So come on out. Let's have some fun. May 7th, 8th, and 9th. May 7th in the evening is going to be a press conference at Shiraka Park Rock by the spring. And that's the official announcement that the Indigenous Life Reservation is officially alive and well. And New York City Parks is supporting us. So hopefully Robert Moses, his spirit will not show up and haunt us. And if it does, we'll invite his spirit too, you know. We're not afraid, right? On the 8th, we're gonna do some work up the mountain. We're gonna continue the project, and then on Sunday we're gonna have a nice feed. We're gonna have some food and we're gonna have some fun. So that's the May 7th, 8th, and 9th. Whatever day you can make, either the 8th or the 9th, that's the work days. Well, the work day is the 8th. The play day is the 9th. We're gonna play some indigenous games. But on Friday is gonna be the ceremony after the press conference. So that's what I want to tell you right now. I hope I didn't ramble out there, but hey, April, we're gonna hook it up. We're gonna have a nice show, and I promise I'm gonna send a link if you guys want to come in person, via virtual reality. I'm gonna have a Zoom link soon where you can come in and we can start creating community in the cyber world, the cyber village. And you don't have to be Taino; you can be anything. But one requirement, you have to be a human being. And the reason why that's the only requirement to be a human being, because we communicate in the human way. Um, but if you have a pet, a companion, that's a dog, a cat, hey, bring them on in too. Turtle, I'm bringing my turtle. Um, bringing my plants. But we'll lead the way, okay? God bless you all, Bo, Guatucan, and I hope everyone's well out there. Peace. Thank you for your patience, and I'll see you soon. And hey, before I forget, the New York Mets finally won a game. All right, they finally won a game. Man, they're trying their best. Peace out.